Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Richards, one of the pastors at Messiah Church in Plymouth, Minnesota. And welcome once again to my backyard. I hope you can spend a few minutes with me. We are, 7 months now into a pandemic that has uh, changed our lives in so many different ways. Earlier this morning, I was thinking about a trip that we made in July where we were able to spend a few days along the north shore of Lake Superior. You know, there's something special about standing on the shore and looking out across a body of water that's so vast that I cannot see the other side. And at night, we could hear the water as it lapped against the shore. All was calm and peaceful. But I've also been at that same spot when it was stormy and the waves looked angry, crashing against the shore, sending water spraying up into the air. You know, I can sit and stare at the surface of the water for the longest time. From the shore, we can look out and see the beauty of the world that God has made. But below the surface, there is so much more we cannot see. You know, the deepest part of Lake Superior is over 1,300 feet, or about a quarter of a mile. And most of the time, all we see is what's happening above the surface. Now, I'm not just talking about a body of water. I'm talking about our lives. You know, if we listen to the news, we know what's on the surface. It's a virus, an election, now the Supreme Court, or it's the economy, it's hurricanes on the Gulf of Mexico, it's fires out west, it's social unrest. But it's not just what we hear in the news. Our own lives are filled with stuff that can easily consume our attention. So focused on the surface that it can be hard to see where God is and what God is doing. Maybe it seems to you like God is absent. But below the surface, look below the surface, and you may see the greater things that God is doing if you're paying attention. If you haven't read the Old Testament book of Esther recently, now would be a good time. It's the one book in the Bible where God is never mentioned. There are no miracles, nothing supernatural, no mention of faith influencing anyone. One could read the 10 chapters of this book and wonder, where is God? But as we look below the surface of the story, God is everywhere. Now, if you don't know the story, it's a story that takes us back 2,500 years in history to a time when Xerxes was the king of Persia. He married a woman named Esther, who was a Jew, but Xerxes didn't know that. Now, it's a fascinating story filled with intrigue, but there comes a moment when the fate of all Jews in Persia is on the line. And it's up to Esther, the queen, to approach the king and plead for the lives of the Jews. But to do so means she must disclose her true identity, risking her own life. And as Esther faces the most consequential decision of her life, her cousin Mordecai says to her, "Perhaps it is for a time like this that you are here." How about you? Could it be that God has been preparing you for this moment? We call this providence. The same God who created the universe is not finished yet, but continues to be at work in this world and in our lives. And we may wonder, where is God? But look below the surface. The coincidences may not be coincidental at all. I mean, what if this is the day? What if you just happen to be where you are, when you are, for this moment? Look below the surface to see what God is doing. You may discover that God has been working in your life without your knowing. I mean, where is God? You know, for most of her life, Esther never spoke up about her faith. She never identified herself as a Jew. But then one day she stood up, she spoke up, and it changed the course of history. Now, it may not change the course of history, but you just might change someone's life. I believe God is orchestrating something in your life. And when that moment comes, I hope you're ready. Now, there may not be people around us who are under a death sentence as it was in the time of Esther, but there are people around us who are hurting or alone or not even aware of what their lives could be like once they too tap into the joy of the Lord. And maybe God is calling you to take a risk, take a step, do something. God has been preparing you. Could this be the day? And when we take that step, that's when joy is found. Thank you for joining me today. Have a great week. God bless.